It happened. Luka Doncic went back into Dallas, played the Mavs, cooked them. They deserve it. They're idiots, fools, morons, and a living embodiment of how CTE can infect and effect you as a general manager. Michael Bolton. Oh, yeah, we're going to recap the rest of the action on Wednesday as well.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and my second job is as an advisor to Nico Harrison. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find this podcast, and you can find it wherever you find good podcasts. I don't know what that little intro phrase was. It doesn't work, but that's okay, because I thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free, and we are available on all platforms. That is what I was trying to say. Sorry that it came out so twisted. You could also go to lockedondaily.com, sign up for the free newsletter for your favorite team. Maybe you're a Mavs fan. I'm sure the writing there is going to be very complimentary to Nico Harrison. Go check that out. And if you sign up now before the end of April, there are 3 gift cards on offer. $2,500 for Best Buy. We've got one for Fanatics and one for Game Time as well to get tickets to go watch Luka play for the Lakers. Yeah, that's happening. All right. Double bang? Double bang. Thumb. Double bang. Chicken jockey. That's a phrase that people say. We should just get straight into talking about the action here. Because there are 10 games on, and some of them are just foolish. This is what happens at the end of the season. There are 3 games left for these teams, and we are going to have wholesale rests in many of the games remaining over the course of the week. You're going to have random full starting lineups not playing, and that's exactly what we had in the first game, which was the Orlando Magic. They locked themselves into the 7 seed in the play-in. They beat whatever remained here of the Boston Celtics. And this is the thing that is going to happen quite a bit across these games. The Celtics scored 76 points in an entire game. There was no Tatum, White, Porzingis, Brown, Holiday, and Horford. They ruled everybody out, apart from the one guy who was actually injured, Jaylen Brown. And they ruled him out anyway. I don't know what they were doing. Yes, he had to play these games to reach the 65 game minimum to get awards. And did someone finally get through to him and said, Jaylen, bro, you are not making All-NBA. What are you talking about? It is not happening. Bro, have you seen how bad you've been? You are not making All-NBA. But he wanted to play through it. Anyway, they're all out. So what do I take out of this? Nothing? Maybe? What I do take out of it is that, and this is something we've sort of soft launched through the last few weeks, is that if there is an opportunity here where Bayless Scheinman starts, he will be useful. Bayless Scheinman started, he was useful. 15, 5, and 3. He had a 3, he had a steal. Just remember that if we get another one of these games where everybody is out. Torrey Craig started, but not the second half. It was Nemeas Queta, the Pastel Donata, who had 11 and 7 with 2 blocks. And like Luke Cornett, if these guys get starters minutes, Queta, Cornett, Scheinman, they're going to be 12-team guys. We had 35 minutes from Peyton Pritchard. He had 15, 4, and 10. It's been a weird season from Pritchard. I'm sure some of you will tell me it's been way better than what I think it's been. I think it's been fine. I think it was great, and then it's cooled off. And this is a pretty good game. You would have hoped maybe for a little bit more, but whatever. I don't think we need to linger too much here on the Celtics. Like I said on the preview show earlier today, there's going to be games and rests and all that sort of stuff, but I really, really, really don't think that you're going to have them just not playing again until this is done, the break is done, the play-in is done, and then they play. It doesn't make sense that you would have just 2 weeks off to get out of rhythm. Now, if someone is hurt, Jaylen Brown, that would be good, but I think the others will come back and sort of play little bits and pieces here and there. That would be my guess. The next thing we've got to look at in terms of where or if they make any moves to rest guys is the Orlando Magic, because they lock in now as the 7th seed. Paulo Banchero played 29 minutes only, 15, 4, and 6. Didn't shoot well. I said yesterday, maybe the shooting is fixed. Thanks, Paulo. Franz Wagner, 23, 8, and 2 with 2 steals. He did shoot well in this one. And then, who really has been struggling since he came back from the injury, Cole Anthony popped off. He had 18 and 8 in 22 minutes with 5 threes. He also vomited on the court, so that was great. But I don't care. Unless I see him back in the starting lineup over Corey Joseph, which I might and I should. Joseph had 3 points in 19 minutes. And honestly, if he had that game back 6 years ago, I'd say it's a pretty good outing for Corey Joseph. If Joseph is done and Anthony goes back to starting, then we do become interested. But remember, they don't play Thursday. Nobody that plays Wednesday plays on Thursday. And the next 2 days that they play are a 15-game Friday and a 15-game Sunday. So you're going to have to be pretty, sure about something to waste an ad on them. Mr. Black played 33 minutes. He had 6 points. Of course he did. Because he just wanted to get a lot more twos into the box score. 22.2% from the field, 2 threes, 2 assists, 2 steals, and a block. Not bad. Don't care. And then Wendell Carter Jr. also is just not a rosterable player in 12s, as you're well aware of my opinion on that. What we also had was Kentavious Caldwell-Pope leaving after 7 minutes. He went scoreless. They said he's fine. I believe he's fine. Caleb Houston started the second half in his place, and like I already just said, we don't care because there are 15 games on, and Caleb Houston is not one of the players that you're going to get excited about in terms of locking them into lineups. But in one of the biggest turn-ups in recent memory, the Sixers won a game. That's the wrong button. This is the button I meant to push. 122 Philadelphia, 103 Washington. Legitimately stunned. I thought there was no way the Sixers were winning another game, but Washington said, yeah, all right, let's see what we can do. Now, the Sixers they're locked in, right? They are 2.5 games ahead of New Orleans. They'd have to win out, and the Pelicans would have to lose out for them to catch it. Sorry, other way around. My bad. Let me rephrase that. They can't really catch New Orleans. New Orleans will have to win out, and they'd have to lose out to get them. And then behind them is Brooklyn, 2.5 games. It's, again, Philadelphia would have to win out for Brooklyn to catch them. It's just not happening, so they are locked in at number 5. So I guess the loss doesn't really cost them that much. It is key for Washington, though, because they are half a game behind the Jazz. So now if the Jazz win a game, which I don't know what the result of their game against Portland is later today, then Washington gets back into the 1 slot. So it was key. The Sixers, they officially ruled Tyrese Maxey out for the season. Well done to them. We didn't know that had happened. There was no Yabusele. There was no Justin Edwards in this game. I have absolutely no idea whether these guys would return. Not sure. Maybe they do. Also, absolutely no idea. What we had in this one is two-way legend Alex Reese hurting his Achilles, not returning. His season is over, basically, from what Nick Nurse said. And then Marcus Bagley. Now, I've thrown this term around for a lot of players all season, and I think this one might be accurate. This is absolutely the worst player in the NBA. Marcus Bagley. He's had a few moments of starting, and never once in any of these games have I gone, yeah, there's maybe an opportunity here for him to be good, or a rotation guy, or a fantasy guy. 4 points, 13%, 8 rebounds. It's been terrible. Adem Bona did his thing, 17-9 with 2 blocks. Quentin Grimes had 17, 11, and 6. Good stuff. The big performance was the big fella, Jeff Doughton, who's been just MIA. And the reason he's been MIA is he only had 2 games left on his 2-way contract. He had 30 points. He had 4 threes. He had 4 steals. He shot 73%, which is not a real number, obviously. But before you make the move to go and add Jeff Doughton, it will be a waste. Here is why it'd be a waste. A, you're using a move in a roster spot when you could use it Thursday when 5 games are on, but he can only play 1 more game. So he's either going to play Friday or Sunday. And you don't know which one. And on both of those days, there are 15 games on. So if you make the move and add him, then he does not play on Friday, then bad luck. You screwed it. Jared Butler, I'd much rather the safety of him, 13, 6, and 5, while Lonnie Walker, hello. This is Lonnie Walker, man. 24 points with 0 rebounds and 1 assist. This is what he does. He had 3 threes. He's not good, but he's taking advantage of this. Colin Castleton had 14 rebounds and not much else, while Richard Council had 11 and 5. And I don't know why I like calling him Richard. I just think the idea of a Dick Council is funny. And honestly, what else could it be? Well, I present you the Royal Dick Council. What would they be presiding over? Who knows? Richards. Shall we do the other side of the game? The winning legends, Washington, they lose easily. Yeah, there was no Jordan Poole, stunningly enough. No Chris Middleton. No Marcus Smart. No Rashawn Holmes. No Sadiq Bey. No Anthony Gill. And then the God of Hammers, JT Thor, left after 4 minutes. So we got the worst players playing a lot of minutes. AJ Johnson, 36 minutes. 7 points on a robust 9%. That's CJ McCollum's music. 9% shooting. 7, 4, and 3. He has been useful enough to generate some counting stats, but that obviously stinks. We got another double-double out of Bubbles. Justin Champagny. 14 and 12 with 2 steals and a block. We know the risks. We know that they can just say, nah, he's not playing. But for now, we're okay with that. Carrington, 12, 4, and 6. Pretty good there for Bub. Not the greatest, but not terrible. And then out of nowhere, Jaylen Martin was back. 30 minutes for him, 8 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 steals. Exactly like the Jeff Doughton scenario. He can play one of the remaining 2 games, so don't get excited. The guy I am marginally interested in is Colby Jones. The Cheer Cheese legend had 13, 7, and 4 with 2 steals and 2 threes. What's it? Where's the cheese? 32 minutes for Colby, and he's been generating steals at a pretty decent rate. Now, the other day, we thought, hey, this might be good for Colby, and then he got a DNP, so like, what do I do with that? But for now, he would maybe be able to sneak into your lineup on a 15-game day. Maybe. Tristan Vukcevic had 24 minutes. He had 24 points. He had 6 rebounds. We did not get vucked in this one at all. He was great from the field. He was great from the line. Still only 24 minutes, though. I would like a little bit more, while Alex Sarr, probably his worst one recently, 12 points, 36%. Cool. Good stuff from Alexander Sarr. We've got more games to talk about, more funnies, hopefully, to come out of it. Let's talk about them soon, though. Today's episode is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. And now, Taxes is just matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. A chill guy expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so that you can focus on your day. An expert who will find your every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, and everything with 100% accuracy, all so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, and no worries. And now, this is Taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com, only available with TurboTax Live, full service, real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Today's episode is also brought to you by PrizePicks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on that action than with PrizePicks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With PrizePicks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash, whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs. PrizePicks keeps everything exciting. Plus, it gives me an opportunity to show my ball knowledge when doing these reads. You might be setting a lineup out there, and maybe you're looking for Cy Young favorite Randy Vasquez, the GOAT who gave up only 1 hit today, and honestly should have been a double play that was called safe at home. I don't know about that, but maybe it should have happened. Who's to say? Maybe you're a big fan of seeing if a team picks up Akil Baddoo and puts him onto the 40-man, and you want to get home runs out of him. I don't know. That's a possibility too. Or do you really buy the Xander Bogaerts resurgence? I don't know. Put it into your lineup and see what happens. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code LOCKEDONNBA for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. We should do the next game. It is the third game of the day. It is the Charlotte Hornets and the Toronto Raptors, an outrageous tankathon game as well. And the Raptors get it 126-96 as the final score. The Raptors are, I'm just going to bring up the standings so I can have a look at them. They are basically locked in here. They're not going anywhere. They are 3.5 games clear of 6, so they can't catch Brooklyn. And they are 2.5 ahead of San Antonio in 8. They do play each other in the final game of the season, which makes it a little bit interesting if Toronto would win that and then win then. If Toronto wins out, San Antonio can overtake them. I would be a little stunned if Toronto allowed that to happen. That would seem egregiously bad, although that's basically been their front office's motto. It's been written on a whiteout. Hey, let's be egregiously bad. Not as bad as Dallas, who they play on Friday, but still pretty bad. So if they win that game in Dallas, that's the chances of dropping to 8 are in play. I don't think it'll happen, but it's in play. Let's talk about the Charlotte side first. They decided on a back-to-back that Miles Bridges and Mark Williams, Moussa Diabate, Josh Green and Josh Okogie would all not play. Neither would Seth Curry, who wasn't ruled out before the game, but it was always likely to me that he would not be available given it was the back-to-back. So what do we take out of that? Well, what we can take out of it is that I'm a legend. I'm the best there is. I'm the one that's going to deliver you all the best winning advice at all points, giving you the best number. Mate, I should do a show where I talk just with my head just fully up my ass the whole way through, just spouting stuff that's just outrageously egotistical and arrogant. I should do that. I know some of you will say, Josh, that's what you do every show anyway. You're always so arrogant. Nah, mate, you wait till I turn it up. The takeaway here is that I'm the GOAT and I know what I'm doing because Tijan Salan started. I told you he was going to start. Now, he was bad. He had 9 and 6 with no defensive stats and shot 36% from the field. But he did start. And of course, I'm being completely facetious. I don't believe that I said you needed to add him or anything along those lines. I just said he's going to start a game. I actually thought he'd be better. But if we do have Miles Bridges being out, at least you can consider him for a rebound stream. But again, if we're going to be completely honest, he's shithouse. He's terrible. So maybe he'll be good, but he's not. What else has happened? Stinking night from KJ Simpson, but last game he was ejected, so he played the full complement here. He had 6 points only on 20%, which is terrible. But part of the reason, or literally the only reason you would have had him, was to get assists and steals. And you got 5 assists and 3 steals. So, is it a failure? Probably. But those numbers are not terrible. We also got a big one from Big Nurk. Now, yesterday, Yusuf Nurkic delivered 0 minutes. He was a DMP CD. So that's great. He had 26 and 9 with 4 assists with no Mark Williams in this game. So 26 minutes for Nurkic. But now, what the hell happens in the next 2? Does he get DMP'd again? Is Diabate's injury real? And is Williams even going to play these last 2? I don't know. Because again, we go to the standings. What can Charlotte do? They are 2 games behind the Wizards. Very much impossible for them to catch them. Not going to happen. The key thing here is, what about New Orleans? Well, the difference there is 2.5 games. So again, not going to happen. They're locked in at 3. So realistically, the battles here in the tank race is Washington, Utah, where there's a half game difference. It is realistically whatever's happening here with Phoenix, who doesn't care. They don't have their pick. But Phoenix, Portland, Chicago, Miami, all 1 game apart. And then it's the San Antonio with a slight outside chance to be able to catch Toronto. Again, actually, can they even catch Toronto? 2.5 games. Yeah, probably not. Yeah, probably. No. Yeah, maybe with that one. But that's realistically the only thing that's likely to happen, or that could happen to upset the order where things are. Daquan Jeffries went back and started and it did nothing, while Wendell Moore was exhumed from his 2-way contract hibernation to have 9 points with a steal. Damian Boa also returned. I didn't think we'd see him again this season after the injury, but he was there and he was ready to go. Speaking of ready to go, what about the Raptors, who were not ready to go? And now we're in that spot with Toronto again. They should be pretty much locked in. But now the question is, what happens? Because Jakob Poeltl, he'd been part of the on and off brigade, and then he didn't play 2 games in a row. My somewhat theory was that they were going to play their guys, break that schedule, play them in that last home game of the season, and then be done. So Barnes played, Barrett played, Quickly played, Poeltl didn't. And all those guys played limited minutes, including Quickly and Barrett, who just didn't even play in the second half. And I would think that Quickly, Barrett, Barnes, and Poeltl may not play either of the last 2. But I don't know. What I am interested in is John Mobo, who got another start and racked up a triple-double. 38 minutes, 17, 10, 11 with 3 steals. When we talked about Mobo all the way back in November when he had a couple of starts, the thing we said about him was, and I had Uri Shomshi mixed in here too, I said in April, these are guys, when these players are shut down, that they are going to have opportunities to rack up big numbers, but you can't hold them for that long. If any of you did that, congratulations, baby. You're a winner, because that's an amazing pull for that long. But it happened. Jared Rhoden played 30 minutes, 23, 7, and 4. Now, much like old mate Jeff Dowden, he won't shoot like this, 67%. But once we hear what happens with Barnes and Barrett and Quickly and Poeltl and Walter and Shed and Abaji and Boucher and all these guys who are out, maybe we feel a little bit better. But that is a lot of players. We also unbelievably got word today that Brandon Ingram won't. Unfortunately, he's not going to be able to make it. He's dog-ate his homework or some shit. I don't know. He's not there. He's getting a PRP injection in his ankle. Cool. That's fantastic, Brandon. We knew you weren't playing, my guy, from the moment you were traded. That we knew that wasn't going to happen. If Orlando Robinson starts every game, we're good with that. 9 and 12 in 34 minutes is not fantastic, but the opportunity would be great. I just don't know. And like I said, Quickly played 14 minutes. Barrett played 14. Amazingly, they just played the exact same minutes each. 14 minutes, 19 seconds. Okay. Not shifty at all. We had 9 minutes of Garrett Temple and 27 Jameson battle minutes. All I would consider here, this is what I say, right? I think that we are at a greater than 50% chance that Barnes, Barrett, Quickly, Poeltl don't play again. I would be adding Mobo, really without any question. I would consider Orlando Robinson, and I would love to add Walter and Shed. They just didn't play. Although I do think they'll play the next 2, so I'd be okay with using them. And they probably would be 12-10 league guys. Now, this could all be wrong. Barrett, Poeltl, Quickly, Barnes, maybe they just play the other games. But like this nonsense of them getting pulled off after 14 minutes, I don't know, man. It is very, very tough to figure out exactly the way that that's going to play out as we move forward. We've got more games to talk about. For some reason, that just took way too long. But that's okay, because it is time for us to swoosh and for us to save. With DoorDash, that's exactly what you can do. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more points in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. And DoorDash, I'm going to call you out on this. I think you should do something different. I think you should do it if a player on a two-way contract like a Jeff Doughton scores 50, we get more. But you're not going to do that, so let's just keep it simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 24-25 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off and order up to $10 off the next day from noon to midnight. Pizzas, burgers, game day feasts, wings, pork knuckles. I'm sure that's a DoorDash thing that you can order. Maybe it's not, but whatever. Get your watch party going. Get your sneaky little healthy lunch. Maybe it's an acai bowl that you're looking at. Acai. The goat of health foods, quinoa. Maybe that's something that's available for you on DoorDash as well, and you want to use your Dash Pass swooshing saving coupon legend to good use. I don't know. Sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save when any player scores 50 or more in a game. Dash Pass members get 50% off and order the next day, up to $10 off. Just use the promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. You must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. Now we get to go onto it. Luka back in Dallas for his second game against his former team. They win. The Lakers do. 112-97 is the final score. I'm sure somebody's going to chime in. They're going to pipe up. They're going to chirp about, I thought revenge games weren't real. Of course, while misunderstanding everything that I've ever said about the topic, or ignoring that Luka had 19 points in the first matchup against his former team, or Jimmy Butler went into Miami scoring 11 points. So yeah, well, who's to say whether it's an observable phenomenon that can be used to your advantage in fantasy sports or betting? Me, I'm to say, it isn't. Luka was awesome, and let's not take away anything from him. He was ridiculously good. 38 minutes, 45, 8 and 6, 4 steals, 7 threes. You would have loved for him to be a little bit better from the line, but 70% from three is ludicrous. 57 from the field. It's an amazing performance from Luka. And obviously, he was incredibly emotional heading into this game and during the game, as we saw before the game. What we did see in this game is he took a lot more shots and Austin Reeves took a step back. Just 11 points for Reeves, who's been playing obviously very well. Don't worry too much about it. While Rui Hachimura did his thing, it's a Rui game. 15 points, and then it's like, okay, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Do not bother rostering Rui Hachimura. Yeah? LeBron had 27, 7, and 3. Hips didn't lie. He got himself a steal. He had 55% shooting. Good game from LeBron. Would have liked a 3 or 2, but that's okay. And then with Hachimura back, we got absolutely nothing from Jackson Hayes, which is pretty stock standard. 3 and 5 for Hazy, while we had 5, 5, and 5 for Dorian Finney-Smith coming off the bench with Hachimura back. Honestly, really nothing to talk about with this Lakers team. In terms of standings and where they sit in the record, we know they're in that battle. They are probably going to be favored to get themselves the 3 seed in the West, but they've got to keep winning. They have to win their next 2, or at least one of those 2. Again, it does depend on some of the results today. At the way things stand currently, because I don't know the results of the late games, they're on 49 wins, and then you've got the Clippers, the Grizzlies, and the Warriors all sitting behind and the Nuggets all on 47. And I don't know the results of those other games just yet. So we'll see exactly how that ends up for those teams, whether the Lakers are going to feel a little bit more comfortable in that 3 seed, which would mean on the last day of the season, on Sunday, you might get some rest for some of the Lakers guys. On the Mavericks side of it, if you are wondering about Kai Jones, and I don't know why you're still wondering about Kai Jones at this point, but that's okay. He didn't play in this game, meaning that he now still has 1 game left on his 2-way contract. Interestingly, the next game is when we believe that Brandon Williams is going to sign this 2-year contract between now and their next game on Friday, meaning Brandon Williams will be available to play on Friday. Now, is Brandon Williams going to be good enough for you to start on Friday and Sunday? Maybe. They made an interesting move today, old genius coaching legend Jayson Kidd, and didn't start a point guard at all. So that, we'll see what that means. We had 29 minutes for Spencer Dinwiddie for 5 points. Would Brandon Williams slide in and play 30 minutes, considering that PJ and Najee and Lively and Gafford and Davis are all available? And I said PJ, probably not. I don't think I would add him. But if you wanted to, Kai Jones can play 1 more game. Again, don't know why he would, but he can. Najee Marshall started at point guard, I guess. 23, 4, and 8. Really strong game. Needed 64% shooting to get there, and I'm pretty sure that lineup doesn't really make sense long term. PJ Washington was pretty mid, and we had an opportunity for PJ, and he had some really strong games. He's been really bad. He had a stretch where he was awesome, and that's really we know who he is. He's the Gattuso legend. He's as up and down as they come, and we're in a really bad stretch. Gafford only 15 minutes, Lively only 15 minutes. I don't think I would roster either of them, but if I did, it would be Gafford. Until I see Lively getting 26 minutes, I do not care for 12-team formats. While Davis, his return from injury has just been like annoying. He hasn't been like dreadful, like he hasn't been awesome, but 13, 11, and 6 on 39%, that sucks. I guess this one doesn't count as a revenge game because he wasn't good. That's the rules of how all that stuff works, so I've been told. And Max Christie against his former team had 11 points with 2 blocks in 28 minutes. Klay Thompson, bro, he had 6 points in 28 minutes. He's been a drop for months, like literally months, and I would never have drafted him to begin with. And yeah, we're sitting that way at the moment. How's Spencer said, Dinwiddie, he had 5 points. I didn't tell you he took one shot. It went in, but he took one. With literally every team available, you do not want to hold him through the only real streamable day, which is Thursday. Same with Najee. Honestly, if you wanted to drop PJ Washington, do it. What you want to do is max out games on Thursday. Look how many moves you've got left. Because I'm pretty sure you're going to have full rosters the other 2 days. Have a look how it plays out. But don't hold on to fringe guys just because they might be good in one of the other days when you could find equivalent production. And the key to you is just going to be that getting that extra game in for Thursday. That is the key. What about your Chicago Bulls? They knock off the Heat in a monumental game. They raise the banner. They get themselves locked into the play-in. The Chicago Bulls were already locked in the play-in, but now they're sitting in a position where they can take over. They can get to a spot here, the Chicago Bulls. They are in the position to have a home play-in game. Absolutely amazing stuff from them. They get to host the 9-10, the revenue. That is what all the fans come for. They win it 119-111 against Miami, who just continues to sort of do nothing. There was no Jovic. There was no Kevin Love. There was no Terry Rozier as a DNP. And then late in the process, just as the game was about to tip off, he had already been moved to the bench, but Palla Larson was said that he sprained his ankle in the pre-game lift. All right. So Palla Larson was out. I know there are the people who just claim that I don't admit when I change my mind, but then I also have people who tell me that I change my mind too often. I have just been completely out on Davion Mitchell, but him in Miami, just unbelievably different. Just he actually plays, he's good now. I don't know why it's happening. I don't really know why Spoelstra refuses to start him, but 36 minutes, 17, 3 and 8, 4 steals and a block, and he's shooting well. He just is a must-roster play. It's really amazing to me. We also got another solid Superman game. Kel'el Ware had 12 and 7 steal and a block. But because Bam was back, he only played 25 minutes. Adebayo was fine, 18 and 6, while Alec Burks, got to start him, man. 7 points with 2 threes in those 16 minutes. We actually got Wiggins back, 14, 6, and 5. So with the absence of Larson, we're able to get some extra minutes in, but the Burks, Highsmith, Anderson, Robinson minutes continue to be just garbage minutes. They're minutes that don't matter. They're sort of all over the place and jumping up and down. The guys you want are Mitchell, Hero, Adebayo, Wiggins, and probably Ware. Although Ware is a guy that I think is going to fluctuate quite a bit. Let's talk about the Chicago Bulls. I don't know if I want to get too much into their mismanagement of things here. I don't know why they sat everybody. Yes, I know they wanted to win this game, but like the idea that they traded away is what, though my problem is, or maybe we'll get into it. My problem is with the Bulls and their approach. Is they traded away Zach LaVine. They refused to do it with Vooch. They refused to do it with DeMar DeRozan in the past. They eventually did trade away Zach LaVine. The return they got was Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter. They got control of their own draft pick back. Yep, they got control of their own draft pick back. So what they proceeded to do in that time is make their own draft pick the asset they got back as the main piece. Look, let's be fair. It's very clearly the main piece in that trade. They made the asset worse. Deliberately. On purpose. They made the asset worse by continuing to win games. By also moving away from Zach LaVine, they increased the usage to Josh Giddey, who now, as he heads into restricted free agency, they're going to have to pay a lot more money to. And they refused to pay him anywhere near that money in the preseason. That's why he didn't sign a contract extension. So not only are they going to lock themselves into being a mid-play-in team moving forward, they worsened the asset they got from trading away Zach LaVine all to get the 9 seed and still be a losing record team. What are you doing? And I know there's going to be one delusional Bulls fan that's watching this and goes, we can actually give the Cavs a shake when we get the 8 seed. You can't. You can't. I'm telling you, you can't. You won't. You'll get cooked. And if you do beat them, I will apologize and I will say I was wrong. You're going to get cooked. Giddey was very good here. 28, 16, 11, 2 steals, 3 blocks, and 3 threes. He played 40 minutes. He shot the ball really well. Fantastic. Like I've said all along, games at this time of the year aren't predictive of what happens next season. You're playing against a bunch of weird teams, and this is against a team that is playing and trying to win stuff, sort of. They're not very good. But it is also worth noting that four games in a row, Josh Giddey had scored under 20 points and shot under 42% from the field, because these high-scoring, high-shooting games are not the norm. But it's been an unreal run. He is almost certainly going to be overdrafted next season. I've got no doubt. I don't know who gets more overdrafted, him or Denny Avdia. One of them will be. Vooch also back to his ways of putting up ridiculous games. 20, 11, and 8 with 2 steals and a block, and Fanta Pants had 22 points, 4 threes, and 7 assists. A good Herder game. You probably do want him on your roster. Buzelis really starting to look better at this point. He looked lost, but I'm more interested in the fact that Billy Donovan is more comfortable playing him. That's really the key here. I don't know what they do next season. Again, this is a front office that honestly just doesn't know what they're doing half the time. So will they bring somebody else in that competes with Buzelis? Will they give Buzelis free reign at things? He is looking pretty solid, but again, he looked bad for 5 months. He had 17 and 4 with a steal and a block here, and Kobe White started poorly but ended with 18, 5 and 4. Some good numbers overall there. And then Jaylen Smith was available. He started the last game, by the way, and then he went back to being the third string center and didn't play a single second, because why would he? Why would you? Why would you play him? All right, now we've got an absolute cinema game. Masterpiece. The Blazers, the Jazz. I talked about this on the preview show yesterday, saying this was probably one of the most tanktastic games that you were going to see. A game where both teams desperately need to make sure that they lose. Somebody's going to have to win. It went to overtime, and Utah won. The Jazz. They do it to the detriment of everything they've been doing all season. They win 133-126. Portland now keeps themselves locked. Well, not locked. They're in that 9 spot, equal with Phoenix in that spot as well. And they put a gap between, or keep a 1-game gap between themselves and Miami, and 2 games between Chicago. They're not going to be able to catch San Antonio in the 8th spot, but they are locking in at 9. Utah now cedes that number 1 position to the Wizards. They're both equal on 17 games. Oh, man. It's been back and forward at the top there in trying to figure out who's going to have that number 1 slot. And I know if you are still watching this and you don't know this, I know that you want to say this. It doesn't matter, Josh. They all have 14% chance. True, but not the point. The 1 seed can fall to 5 in the lottery. The 2 seed can fall to 6. That's the difference. It's the bottom side value. And I'm big in evaluating the value of bottom sides. It's big. It's me. It's what I do. That's the issue. That's the difference. Let's talk about this game again. What the hell do I even say about it and about the value here? There was no Avdia. There was Portland took it seriously. No Avdia, no Simons, no Ayton, no Henderson, no Grant. And then instead we got Shaedon Sharpe playing 35 minutes. He had 37, 7 and 5 with 6 threes. Do not get excited. He shot 50% from the line. He shot well from the field. It's an elite game. But nobody was there. These games matter nothing when we move forward. Matisse Thybulle played 38 minutes. What? 12, 4, and 6 with 2 steals. If they continue to sit guys out, Thybulle is going to be a 12-team valuable player. He just is. In these minutes, he will be. Don Klingon, he just... I don't know, man. Every opportunity is available for him at the moment, and he's just doing nothing. Like 10, 9, and 4 with 2 blocks is fine, but Yves Missi looks at that and goes, bro, surely you can do a bit more. Like that, those are just mid-ass numbers. Toumani Camara was also pretty good without being great. He took a lot of shots. They didn't go in, 33%. 16 and 6 with 2 steals. And then you got 19 points from Rayan Rupert in 35 minutes. You got Delano Banton being honestly one of the, this is how you lose games. You play Delano Banton 35 minutes. 11, 2 and 4 with a steal and a block on 27%. He is one of the guys. He is 2.0 Taylor Horton-Tucker. A tall point guard who is bad at shooting, costs you games, and generates stats when he's out there. Yeah, you can roster him now, but just understand that what we're talking about here. We had Jabari Walker play 33 minutes for 15 and 6. And honestly, in terms of valuing these Portland guys, we just need to know if these other players are out. And unfortunately, we're not going to know. I'll tell you now, Jeremy Grant's not playing. That's not happening. Scoot Henderson, I doubt it. I would say Simons is done. Avdia is the tough one. He's missed 2 in a row now. I think we could probably feel confident in saying that Denny does not play. And I think you might get the risk here of Shaedon sitting out a game or 2. in these final two, but I don't know. But they could change things around because even though they lost this game, which is a win for them, that doesn't secure them. It doesn't put them in that spot where they can sort of sit there because Phoenix is terrible. And who knows what happens with Miami. If they win their next two games, Paul, and they can finish on 37 wins, which could easily put them ahead of Phoenix and Miami into the 11th slot, which takes your odds of a top 4 pick, which is currently at 20%. If you move down to that 11th spot, you go to 9%. Your odds of number 1 go from 4.5 to 2. You cannot do that if you're Portland. You cannot afford that. You do not have your future star, as much as we might have thought Scoot might have been there, and I did. He's not. You don't have it. You need to maximize a chance at getting up the top. And winning useless games is not it. Utah. Yeah. They get the win. I'm sure they're very happy about that. Will Hardy, maybe he's just too good of a coach. Let's talk about what they did. They put out a very confusing injury report on Walker Kessler saying he's got a broken nose and it's not going to require surgery, so that enables him now to continue the parts of the concussion evaluation protocol and will update in future days. All right, what does that mean? I would be stunned if Kessler plays again this season. They also set out Isaiah Collier in this game because that's how bad they wanted to lose, and he's not a good player. He's been solid. He should make, and I don't know my teams yet, I think he probably will end up making at least one of the all-rookie teams. So they had to end up starting Keontae George, who did the stuff that he usually does. 18, 6, and 6. He wasn't why they won. Why they won was the game that we've been talking about all season. The production we've been waiting for from Kyle Filipowski all season. 30 points, 2 threes, 18 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 1 block, and 77% from the field. That is going to go close to monstrous line of the night. That is a ridiculous game. And with Kessler and Collins and Markin all out, you just got to roster him. We actually finally got an opportunity for Bryce Sensabaugh for some shots to go in. He's probably a guy to look at as well. 22 with 6 threes and 3 steals. Johnny Juzang, a nice deeper league option. 14 with 2 threes and 3 steals, and then Colin Sexton played only 20 minutes because they wanted to lose. They didn't. 15 points, 5 assists, and 2 steals. I'm just going to have a look. How much did Sexton play? Yeah, they just sat him basically all of the fourth quarter and overtime, Sexton. They said, we can't afford to win this. And they did. And then, for you deeper leagues, now this man has not played every game, but I think he will get opportunities here to do it. For rebounding, Oscar Tshiebwe is a rebounding beast. Now, he's doing nothing else. 17 and 10 is what he had, but he will get you double-digit rebounds in 20 minutes. So for now, we're adding Filipowski. You look at Sensabaugh, and then Juzang is maybe, Tshiebwe is maybe, and then we got the package, Jaden Springer playing 39 minutes. Hard to get a worse game in 39 minutes, to be honest, and a guy that thrives on defensive numbers got none of them. He did have 6, 6, and 4 on 25%, but I would hope if Jaden Springer plays 39 minutes, you get at least 2 steals and a block most nights. If he plays 39 minutes a night, and I don't know that he will, but if he does, that becomes interesting as a stream guy, as I imagine that, because now it is desperation for them, because if you need to keep yourself in that position, at least tied with the Wizards, because then you get a split lottery odds scenario. That's how it works. Like when you are equal, and I don't know what I think the tiebreaker might be the same for both teams, but lottery balls get split. But if you are in the 2 spot, which is where Utah is, your downside is still 6 and Washington's is 5. But you don't want to move into the outright number 2 spot because then the lottery balls don't split between the two of you. So yeah, still a lot to play out. Let's go through to the next one. The Thunder officially end the Suns season 125-112 as they sit all of their guys and are on the road. The Sun, this is, again, just an absolute disaster from Phoenix. I don't know how it gets to this. I don't know what the hell they do from here. Safe to say Durant will not be on this team next season. And also, with the quotes from Mike Budenholzer before the game, I don't think Durant's playing again this season. He's like, yeah, we're not sure yet, but I don't think we're even going to be in a position where we have to make a decision. Which, again, is very, very cryptic. But basically, it means I don't think he's close enough. We're obviously not good enough. And we're never going to have to make a 50-50 whether he plays decision. It's just done. He's not playing. We'll talk about the Thunder. No Hartenstein, no Shea, no Carson Wallace, no Lou Dort, no Alex Ducar. And they still rolled. Jalen Williams, the Bronco, 33, 7 and 5, 3 steals. Alex Caruso, 27 minutes, 19, 5 and 3 with 5 steals. Would have been a great stream. Chet Holmgren stepped it up. He's had some bad games recently, but 12 of 13 from the line. 22 and 10 is a good output. And then the Pig Williams returned. 12 points with 4 threes. Aaron Wiggins was solid. Isaiah Joe was not. And it means nothing. Because, again, I do not think that the Thunder are just going to sit everybody in every game. In fact, I'd be pretty certain that Chet and Jaylen Williams sit the next one, and these other guys return. So you're still going to have streaming options for Caruso, who is also no guarantee to play. Wiggins, who is no guarantee to play. Joe, who was bad here but might be better. It's just going to be a lot of mishmash nonsense, and we won't get anything super exciting to hold for the final 2 games. Even though they're great, they killed them. Easy victory in the end, 125-112, with, again, not anyone available. No, that's not true because Chet and Jaylen Williams played, but still, they sat half their guys. And I don't really think there's anything we can do until we find out who's in and who's out for every particular game for that team. On the Phoenix side, man, they decided to start Grayson Allen instead of Royce O'Neal, and there was also no BDNR, so they couldn't win their league. He was out. Oscar Iguodaro started. He played 25 minutes and he had a block with 3 points. That's not good enough. Grayson Allen had 4 points in 23 minutes. That's not good enough. Royce O'Neal played under 20 minutes and had 11 points with 3 threes and 2 blocks, which is close enough, but he's also not remotely good enough. Their best performer was Colin Gillespie, who played just 23 minutes. He had 17, 6 and 4 and 2 steals. I would have no confidence in adding Gillespie or Dunn, who had 13 and 7 and 2 steals, or O'Neal, or Jones, who played 15 minutes, or Allen, or Iguodaro. None of them. Wouldn't care to add any of those players for any of these games. Unless we get widespread sitting, which is possible, and then you might get a random Jalen Bridges game, or you might get a Grayson Allen game where he plays 30 minutes, or Gillespie's starting and playing 30. But it is disgusting at the moment in Phoenix. Devin Booker had 20 and 6 with 14 assists in 40 minutes, and that is it. Their season is done. I do think that he will play at least one of the 2 games, but it is distinctly possible that he doesn't play any of them. That is completely on the cards, in the dreams that we have about this Suns team, who I continue to get wrong in trying to project them at the start of the season. I thought they might be all right. They were terrible, and Bradley Beal had 25 in 39 minutes, speaking of terrible. And then what we got is another great example of a revenge game. The pencil, Harrison Barnes. Barnesy! Knocks off his former team that he has not played for since 2016 by hitting a game-winning shot to get to 20 points in 36 minutes as the Spurs beat the Warriors 114-111. Of course, a couple of people immediately tweeted at me about Barnes' revenge game, and I know they were taking the piss, but it is funny because this is Barnes having 20 points, which is his second lowest scoring output in his last 6 games, against a team he hasn't played for in 9 years. So, we're just going to make up whatever numbers we want. While all the way Chris Paul is actually playing against a team he played against last season, and he had 12, 5, and 4, a completely mid-game. Barnes at the moment is producing. And honestly, you probably do roster him. And it looks like both he and Chris Paul are going to be pushing through to get all 82 games, which for Barnes happens often. For Chris Paul, happens never. It's an unbelievable achievement that he's somehow been able to stay healthy and get to that spot. Now, with the Spurs winning this game, it means that Toronto is actually 100% locked in at number 7 in the tank zone race. What it also means now is that San Antonio sits at 33, Phoenix is at 35, and Portland is at 35. That is what the Blazers... Now, there is an outside shot they can catch San Antonio, because I believe... Do they play... No, it's the Spurs that play the Raptors in that final game. It's going to be hard to get for Portland to get to that spot, but they've just got to make sure... Because they play the Warriors and the Lakers, so they'll lose both of those games. But you need San Antonio to win out their last 2 games. What Portland needs to make sure now, getting back to Portland, that they just keep losing to keep pace with Phoenix so that they don't move into that slot below them. On the Spurs side of it, Keldon Johnson been really poor. His minutes have been down, but this was great. 21 and 8 with 2 steals. If we knew we got this Keldon taking 17 shots, we'd be all in. But we don't know that we're going to get that. So I wouldn't be overreactive in getting him. Also, a very good game from Julian Champagnie. 14, 4 and 4 with 2 blocks, but his numbers have been down in recent games. We also got a pretty strong game from Steph Castle until you look at his free throws. But he had 21, 3 and 5, 2 steals and a block, and was great from the field goal percentage category, 53%. Vassell struggled, Biyombo did nothing, and what else happened? We got a solid game from Sandro Mamakilishvili. I don't feel comfortable with him, though, in a 12-team or 14-team roster. I like Barnes amazingly. Keldon's more 14 than 12. Champagnie is more 14. And then we look to see what happens with guys like Blake Wesley. Like last game, it was Malaka Branham who put up good numbers. And this one, He didn't play at all. I would be, again, very cautious to see which direction they go. The Spurs are basically locked in at number 8. They cannot move to number 7 in the lottery odds, but they could potentially move behind both Phoenix and Portland if they win out and those other two lose out. That'll all be equal on 35 wins. If that is the direction or how those final games go. And I don't know that that'll be the case. But that is a thing that can happen. On the Golden State side, this is a terrible, terrible loss for them because they are in that position where they need to win. They need to get themselves out of the play-in mix. They're now at 47-33. We'll have to check because the Denver game hasn't quite finished when I'm recording this part here. And there is opportunity here for Minnesota to maybe get ahead of them and for them to end up in the play-in game, which they do not want, although they are veterans of being in the play-in. For the Warriors, Jimmy Butler had one of his best games, 28, 4 and 7 with 2 steals. Steph was great. Draymond was great, 13, 9 and 8, 2 steals. Steph, 30 and 8, 2 steals. Good numbers all around. Everyone else, not quite there. Well, Podziemski has been absolutely dominating. This is one of the worst games he's had in a long time. 7, 3 and 5 for Podziemski on 27%. You are still holding him, though. Moody had a much better game than the last one. I don't care. He is a deep league player only, 7 and 8. Heald had 12 points and 4 threes. Don't care. And also, you should not be caring at all about John Kuminga. He played 18 minutes. He had 12 points. There is no reason for Johnny Kuminga to be rostered in 12-team leagues or 10-team leagues. Or honestly, maybe even 14-team leagues. But he is rostered in a lot of leagues, and he absolutely should not be. All right, now we do have the results of the Denver Nuggets. First game under David Adelman, and they beat the Kings on the road 124-116. And the one major thing that Adelman changed was not the starting lineup because he kept Jaylen Pickett in there with Jamal Murray out. Now, they listed Jamal Murray doubtful before this game. I don't think he's playing in the regular season, but they listed him doubtful. The major change they made was he just said, Russell Westbrook, absolutely not. Now, I know Westbrook's been pouting for years about, I'm better than... No, you're not. You're not. And Adelman just said, right, done. See you later. Westbrook played 17 minutes. He had 5 points on 18%. This has been one of the worst stretches of Westbrook's career these last 2 weeks. It's been horrendous. You should hopefully have dropped Russell Westbrook. As for Pickett, 18 points. He had 5 threes. He had 4 assists. He played well. I don't think that we look at him as a must-add guy, but I'm interested. Jokic just did his thing, 20 and 12, 11 assists. Christian Brown was awesome, 25 and 4 with 3 threes on elite efficiency. And Aaron Gordon had 21, 3 and 5, so everybody contributed. Peyton Watson, I thought maybe we get a little bit more out of him. We only got the block in 25 minutes, but it is pretty clear they've got a six-man group they're using, and Westbrook is not included in that, and he's that 7th man who played those 17 minutes. On to the Kings, we got the word, and it seemed relatively obvious that this was the case once they signed Terrence Davis, that Malik Monk would not be playing and he is done for the regular season. So that means that Keon Ellis is going to get a lot of minutes, and Ellis was great here. 20 points, 32 minutes, 6 threes, 1 steal, 2 blocks. You just need to have him on your roster now that we know that he's going to play 35 a night. DeRozan, it was terrible. He ended up with 31% shooting. He did have 22, 4 and 4, but obviously not great. Levine had 27 with 11 assists. That's a pretty strong outing from him, especially with Malik Monk not there. He's going to have to do a lot of that ball handling. And then we actually got a good game from Trey Lyles because Keegan Murray was out again. He's been out all week here, Keegan. And this is the first game that Lyles has actually popped off. 38 minutes, 17, 9 and 4 with 2 threes. I wouldn't be rushing to add him. Levine played 44 minutes in this game. Sabonis played 39, 13, 12 and 2 as Doug Christie's been playing these guys a million minutes. And in the end, I don't know that it's going to matter. The Kings are currently sitting, where are they? They're in the 9 spot. Yeah, they're currently in the 9 spot. And I go to playoffstatus.com to check the odds of this stuff. They've got a 92% chance of finishing in that 9 spot. They're locked into the play, and we know that the Suns aren't moving out of that area. Suns aren't moving up, although playoff status hasn't actually updated after today's game. So the Kings are going to be, they're still going to be 1 game ahead of the Mavs, so they're going to sit into that 9 slot. Meaning that then you've got that mess of Lakers, Clippers, Warriors, Nuggets, Grizzlies, Wolves. And a lot of them all played each other today, which was really, really interesting. In terms of fantasy takeaways here, it is just really Levine. Also, by the way, people are still rostering Valanciunas. So can you stop doing that? There's no need for that. He had 2 points in 9 minutes. Let's go on to the final game of the day. It is the Houston Rockets, who are locked into the number 2 seed, basically. I'm going to double check that. I don't think they can move. No, they are absolutely locked, as are the Thunder. They are not moving from that slot. So they took the opportunity today, Houston, as I forget to bring the right screen across. Let's do that now. They rested a bunch of guys. They got beaten 134-117, which was your final score there. They sat no Şengün, no Amen Thompson, no Van Vliet, no Jabari Smith, no Dylan Brooks, no Steven Adams, and then only a half of Jalen Green. So honestly, what am I going to tell you? What I am going to tell you is that in the few opportunities that Reed Shepherd has had, he has looked good. 20 points, 37 minutes, 6 threes, 4 assists, and 2 steals. Now again, games in April and March don't really matter. But the thing that's going to happen here is that I'm pretty sure Fred VanVleet will not be on this team next season. I don't know if they feel comfortable with Shepherd being the starter. I think Amen Thompson will be that guy. It'll be Amen and Jabari and Amen and Tari as the starting group there, alongside Jaylen and Brooks, who could also be gone, and Şengün. But he will be a rotation guy without any question next season, Reed Shepherd, and that was good stuff. Easton had 17 and 5 in his minutes. Cam Whitmore started and honestly was pretty bad. He really struggles to do anything that's not scoring, and even that, he had 14, 5, and 2 in 32 minutes, and this should have been the game he was able to cook. We got 19 points in 19 minutes from Uncle Jeff Green. Okay. Again, what am I taking? In terms of this season, I'm not taking anything out of this game. It doesn't mean anything. If they run this rotation again, then yeah, we fade Jalen Green and we look at Nate Williams and we look at N'Faly Dante and we look at Landale, we look at Shepherd, but that's it. Realistically, that is it. For the Clippers, on the other side of it, they get the win that they need to keep themselves pushing to be in that top 4 home court advantage area. Harden had 35 with 10 assists. He's been an unbelievable draft pick. Ivica Zubac, a triple-double. Are you kidding me? 20 and 11 with 10 assists. Kawhi Leonard played 38 minutes in this game after sitting yesterday. He had 22 and 10. He's been so good down the stretch. And we actually got 31 minutes out of Chris Dunn. Nick Batum did leave this game early, and there was no Norm Powell on the back-to-back, so that did help Dunn, but he had 3 steals and a block. He probably does need 2 guys out to deliver enough value for us to use. And the same goes with Bogdanovic. 16 points, 4 threes, 5 assists for Bogdan. Absolutely not a must, but usable. And then Derek Jones kept his starting spot. He had 8 points there. He's not really doing much. We also got 47 seconds of Trenton Flowers for those of you in the what would the Trenton Flowers, what's his name, fan club be called? The Florists? I hope so. Anyway, let's give out the lines of the night before I completely lose my mind. Your monstrous line of the night has to go to Chicago. It has to go to Josh Giddey. 28, 16, 11, 2 steals and 3 blocks. I think people think that I'm just anti-Josh Giddey. I think it's been a great improvement. It's been fantastic. My major point is he is not a star. They are not sorted, and that is not sustainable. But whatever. Your waiver wire line of the night is Jeff Doughton, who had 30 points with 4 steals and a block. Great, but can only play one of the remaining 2 games. Your young gun of the night, it has to be Kyle Filipowski, the man that may have cost the Jazz number 1 seed in the lottery. 30 and 18 with 5 assists, 3 steals and a block. This is what we hoped. It finally happened. And the dud of the night. Well, let's go back to Sacramento because people are still rostering this man. And Valanciunas had 2 points and 2 rebounds in 9 minutes. Please just don't roster him. There is absolutely no need to do that. What there is no need to do is to stay around for any more of this show because it's done. But stick around on the show in general and keep thumbing and banging and commenting because we've got more stuff coming. Tomorrow we'll have a preview of Thursday's action plus a Thursday recap show, which will be actually the last recap show of the season. That'll be tomorrow's recap show. So stick around for that. Hit the thumb, hit the subscribe. I hope you enjoyed all of the shenaniganizing that happened today. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.